that we are prepared for our quiz tomorrow. So you guys had this over the weekend for homework. So now we're going to go over that. And I highly recommend you having your circle book out at the same time, because I'm going to kind of point to different things. Like I found this in my circle book on this page while we're doing self-protection. Okay. So my first question here, it says, identify two chords and two radii. Radii is plural for what word?
Radius.
Radius, good. I had a few of my classes were confused about that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is list two chords. So I go to my circle book, and it's on the front page is a lot of my vocab words. So I'm going to find it. A chord endpoints are on the circle or on the circumference of the circle. So I want to find where a line goes where we have endpoints. So BC is definitely a chord, right?
Yep.
What's my other one? AE. AE is a special chord too. What else is it called? What is another word for AE? Diameter. Good. Goes right through the center. Okay? And then we need radii. It says list two, so all you needed to do was list two, but there are three. So I'm going to list all three just in case some people listed different ones. So can somebody name one radii for me? P to D. That's this one right here. Okay. PE is another one right here. PE, and then PA is the third one. Good. Again, you only had to have two out of those three, but just in case people had different ones. Okay, next. First of all, there is a typo here. This shouldn't be a P right there. That should be an R. Obviously, it did not show up. The ink didn't go through all the way for the copy machine. Okay? So we want to find RS, and RS is a tangent. Okay, tangent makes me think, okay, where are my tangents? Are they in the first page, the second page, or the third page? Second page is all about tangents. So I'm kind of glancing at these. Okay, I know a tangent touches a circle at one point. A radius meets a tangent at 90 degrees. All right, it doesn't look like I have two tangents. It looks like RS is the only tangent because QS goes through it, and it can only touch. So I think those are the information that I need, because all the rest talks about two circles or two tangents. So I know that QR is a radius, and RS is the tangent, so they have to meet at 90 degrees. Then what shape is this that's drawn in here? It's a right triangle, and I have a right triangle where I'm missing this unknown side. So if you have a right triangle and you're missing a side, what theorem or postulate do you use? Pythagorean theorem. So we go 4 squared plus x squared equals 5 squared. And why does it equal 5 squared? Because 5 is the what of the triangle? It's the hypotenuse, and I know that because it's across from 90 degrees, right? So now I'm going to do 16 plus x squared equals 25. Then I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. And I get x squared equals 9, and so x equals 3. And remember, when we square root something, we could get a negative answer as well, but a negative length doesn't really make sense for this, right? Okay. Any questions about those first two? All right, we're going to move on to the third one. If EG is a diameter, so here to here, we're saying this is a diameter, and we know a diameter is a chord that goes through the middle, and if you forget that, don't worry, it's on your circle book. And E to F is 120 degrees. That arc is 120 degrees. What is the angle EPF? What is the degrees? Okay, first of all, what kind of angle is that? When we have angles, we talk about two big ones. So I'm going to turn to my page that talks about central and inscribed angles. So which one do you think EPF is? Is it a central angle or an inscribed? Central, right? Because it goes through the center. And arcs, interpreted arcs, and central angles are what to each other? Equal. Yeah, are congruent. So the answer is 120 degrees. Pretty straightforward. Questions about that? Okay. Let's move on to number 4. Now, number 4 and 5 are pretty smushed together, so I'm going to do them on a separate sheet of paper. Number 4, find the area and circumference of a circle with a diameter of 7 inches. So first I think to myself, I need to know the equations for area and circumference. So area is pi r squared. And what is circumference? And circumference is 2 pi r. Okay, so I've got both of those. Now, it looks like I need r for both of them, and I have diameter. So how am I going to find the radius from the diameter? Well, radius says, on my circle book, radius is half the diameter. So instead of diameter equaling 7, I'm going to have the radius equals, what is it? 3.5. So I'm going to have pi times 3.5 squared. And pi is just a number, right? What number is pi?
3.14.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of different things, but it's basically 3.14. I'm going to use the pi button if I have it, though, because it gives me more decimal places that I might not have memorized. So I'm going to say 3.5 squared, and I'm going to push the pi button on my calculator. And I get 38.48 inches squared. Okay? Now I'm going to find the circumference, which is 2 pi r. Wait, what's 2 times r again? That's the diameter, isn't it? So couldn't I just put 7 pi? And then 7 times pi gives me 21.99. If you put 22, I would have given it to you. Inches. So we have 38.48 inches squared equals my area. And the circumference equals 21.99 inches. Again, if you had 22, that would have been fine. Are we confused in some way? Are we feeling okay about this? All right, we ready to do number 5? Okay. 5 is a little confusing because we have to draw it. Okay? So we have a circle, and we have a 5-foot-long chord is drawn in the circle. Now chords, remember I've got my circle, they just need to meet the end point. So I could draw my chord in anywhere. I am just going to draw it right here at the top. And I know it's 5 feet long, and I'm just going to keep a little note to myself. And a radius is 8 feet. Now remember, a radius has to go with the middle, and it has to draw to the side. My hint for these types of problems is the radius and the chord should always touch. So that's why I have it like that. And it's 8 feet long. And I want to know how far away we are from my center. So what's x? Okay? So once I draw that line in, I'm going to make it so that it meets the chord at 90 degrees. And then what's half of 5, guys? 2.5. Do we get how I could put 2.5 right there? And then I'm just going to draw this bigger. What do I do now to find that unknown side? What is that again? Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to say x squared plus 2.5 squared equals 8 squared. So I get x squared plus 2.5 squared is 6.25. And 8 squared is 64. Now what do I do? Yep, 64 minus 6.25, which is 57.75. And then I'm going to square root it. So x equals 7.6 feet. I'm just going to round it up. Okay, I feel like that's the first one we come to, which is a little bit confusing. Does anybody have questions about that? I feel like that was not as straightforward because you had to create that circle yourself, draw those in. Yep. Everything on this review is going to be on the quiz. So maybe this is a problem. Should be pretty easy because you should have written this on a separate sheet of paper. You know, or you can just cover this all up. Try it again. You want to get 7.6 again. You know what I mean? Okay, let's try a question that's very similar to that, which is number 6. Okay, number 6 says, find the unknown length, that's the x right here, when the radius is 3. Again, make sure it touches the chord. That's my radius of 3. And the chord has a length of 2, which means half of 2 gives me 1. Okay, so if this is 3, what's this part right up here? Aren't these both radiuses, radii? So this is 3 as well, right? So I'm going to change this down here. I'm going to make this length right here left over y. And I'm just going to write a little note to myself that y plus 3 equals x. Okay? So now we have this little triangle, right triangle at the bottom, right? How am I going to solve that? Pythagorean theorem. Y squared plus 1 squared equals 3 squared. So y squared plus 1 equals 9. I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. Y squared equals 8. And then what am I going to do to get 8 by itself? Y by itself? Square root it. And so y equals the square root of 8, which is 2.8. So 2.8 plus 3 equals x. So x is 5.8 approximately. Feel okay with that? I feel like that was a little bit easier because it was already partially drawn in for us. As long as you remember that the radius had to hit the chord right there, you're okay. All right, ready to move to 7? So I think you guys wrote this down on Friday. You had, if we have A, B, D, and A, C, D, they are equal to each other if they have an arc in common. So if you see this green arc right here, if that's in common, those two are equal. And you were supposed to write this in your circle book on Friday. So make sure you've got this. If you don't, let's pause and make sure we write it down. So you should have this in your circle book. Yeah. Because they share. Okay, we ready for the problem? Okay. So PSQ and PRQ share an arc, so they're equal to each other. So I'm going to say y minus 5 equals 2y minus 15. Okay. So I am going to subtract y from each side. Get negative 5 equals y minus 15. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. And I'm going to get y equals 10. Oh, wait. Did it ask me to find y? What did it ask me to find? Angle PSQ, right? So I have to plug that back in. I have to say y minus 5 equals PSQ, angle PSQ. So I have to plug in 10. 10 minus 5 gives me 5. Common mistake on this last year, the most common mistake on the whole quiz, was people got y correctly, but they didn't plug it back in to find the angle. Don't forget to do that tomorrow. Questions about this one? All right, let's graph a circle. Where's my equation of my circle? What page do you think it's on in your circle book, guys? It is on the first page. It's right here. Equation of a circle. So we're going to do the opposite of h and k. It's going to be my center. And the square root of the thing that's equals is going to be my radius. So what is the opposite? So we've got x plus 3 squared, y minus 2 squared equals 16. So what's the opposite of positive 3?
Negative 3.
What's the opposite of negative 2? What's the square root of 16? 4. So we're going to go to the left 3, up 2. And then we're going to go 4 in all 4 directions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we draw a line that connects all of them? Because that makes a circle, right? No. Draw a circle. Draw a circle. Don't make a diamond or a square shape. It doesn't have to be a beautiful circle, but it should look rounded, right? Try to make a circle. Okay. Any questions about how to do this one? Remember, opposite of h and k, square root of the number at the end. Plot the center, then the radius tells you all the directions to go to. Okay, let's do number 9. Find the perimeter of A, B, C. Okay, so I'm looking at these. Do you guys see how each of these touch the circle in just one point?
Yeah.
So those are tangents. So I'm going to go to my tangent page. So it kind of looks like this one. But if I look, I would have to know the numbers opposite it and just be missing 1. That's not true here. I don't have this spot over here or this spot over here. So I don't think that's going to work for me. So I'm going to look, what else do I have on tangents? Oh, I have tangents meet. Tangents that meet in an exterior point are congruent to each other. Okay, so that means if this is 9 right here, what is this length right here? 9. Okay? If this is 4 right here, what is this length right here? 4. Okay, so that whole thing is 19. So how am I going to find just the length in yellow right there?
Oh, you gotta
19 minus 4, right? Which gives me 15. So this is 15 right here. So this is also 15 right over here, right? Okay. So then what is this length going to be right here? 24 minus 15, which is 9. So this length has to be 9, right? Now we just have to add them all up. We have 9 plus 9 plus, shh, guys, pull it together. Last problem. 4 plus 4, 15 plus 15, 9 plus 9. What does that all add up to be? 74. Okay? And that is my perimeter. Now, I want to make this really clear. If you feel like you're missing something from your circle book, you need to check with me or check with somebody else in class because you will not be able to fix your circle book tomorrow. If you're missing stuff from your circle book, get it. If you don't have a circle book at all, make it today so you have it in class. Or tomorrow for the